Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So my oldest daughter at a couple different times has decided to go vegan.
Yeah.
And give up meat. And it's just funny the way people react to that. Because they instantly want to know, well,
what are you going to eat?
What are you going to eat? What's going to happen to the meat producers of the world? You know, blah, blah, blah. And for her, it's more of a health thing. It's not this, you know, fun. I mean, it's about the animals too, but it's
for her, it's health.
For her, a lot of it is health. Well, it's funny because if you're going to the UK, you should not be making fun of vegans because my son makes fun of her. You know, like she gets a lot of heat when she says, I'm going to go vegan.
Yeah, sibling too. And it's funny because our producer's like, you should never make fun of vegans anywhere. Anyway.
It doesn't matter if it's in the UK.
True.
But here's the deal there. It is now illegal. There was a tribunal, that determined that ethical veganism is a religion or belief. That's what they've said.
Okay.
And it then falls under one of the 9 protected characteristics under the 2010 Equality Act. And it came after a guy claimed he'd been fired by the League Against Cruel Sports because of his ethical veganism. So the judge ruled that that was worthy of protection.
I like that.
So you can't make fun of vegans
in the
UK or anywhere else, as our producer
Can you still ask, what do you eat?
I think people are very curious.
Yeah,
and
I do too.
I think people who are vegan, they feel like they have to defend it kind of, and that's unfortunate.
Yes. Right. It's good.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. Anytime you don't understand something about someone or their beliefs or their way of life, I always think it's good to be curious and ask instead of, make fun or do whatever.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, how about this? A University of Connecticut professor thinks that he has finally cracked the code to create this. Do you know what it is? Crack the code to do this.
Crack the code.
He is an astrophysicist, Molly, and he thinks he has now cracked the code to travel in time.
Oh, time travel. I didn't know you were going to go there. I thought you were going to say the Fountain of Youth maybe or something.
Yeah, so he says he's created this specific equation that could be used to create a device to help people go back in time. It's based on Einstein's old thing. He's already told CNN that he's built a prototype, all this stuff. My real question is, because regardless of if this is true or not, who am I to judge? I don't know. I'm not an astrophysicist. Would you do it is my real question. Would you actually go back in time?
That's a great question.
If you really could do it.
And then you'd be stuck there, or?
That I don't know. I don't know that.
Return.
I doubt it because he says the time can accelerate or decelerate. So I would assume he can bring you back, but maybe only if there's another machine there. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
right?
good
You have to
point.
think about Back to the Future. Like, all I can think of is in movie terms, but the truth is, like, how's he going to bring it back unless there's another machine there?
It's a good point.
So
that's a good point. But it's fascinating.
But would you do it? Would you go back?
I probably wouldn't. And I think most people, if you ask them what even just a year would you relive in your life, most people say they don't want to relive their past years, experiences in their life.
But what if you could change them because you'd make different choices?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, if you could affect the outcome, and so it's not just visiting, it's going through it and being able to change your future and outcome.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I'd do it.
I got to think about that a little more.
I think I would do it. It's a good question to ask yourself. I just think it's interesting.
Very chat worthy, I would say.
I'd do it.
Speaking of transitions, this is a transition back to work. A lot of people leave the workforce for sometimes a long period of time if they're raising kids, obviously, if they're caring for an elderly parent, or sometimes it's a medical leave where they leave for an extended amount of time. But there's a great article about how to ease the transition back to work. And there's one of these that I use on vacation. I can't remember the last time I had a really extended leave from work. But
is it building in that day, that extra day?
Oh, no, I say that a lot.
But
that's a great point, is building in at the end of a vacation an extra day. My thing is I usually just on my phone, but even if I'm on vacation, I go through and I delete emails that I don't need.
Okay.
Because they just pile up.
Oh, so
when
you're
get back.
checking it. You're not necessarily responding, but you're clearing.
Usually not responding.
Yeah.
More deleting, because you get so many emails that are legit, but maybe you don't need to address them because one of your coworker does or something.
And it's easier to do a bite at a time than the whole thing.
Exactly.
Right.
And do it each day, maybe just do a little clutter clearing. But that's exactly the same tip that our executive producer, Kim, we took a picture of her today because we always talk about our producers and then we never show them. So I'm like, I got to get a picture of her today. So that's her suggestion, is going through email. Not everybody has the capability to do it if they're off of work, but
most people now with a cell phone, you've got access to your
Yeah.
emails.
The other thing they suggested in this article was check in before you return. So a week or so in advance, check in with coworkers and ask, what's changed, because
Yeah.
maybe there's new things happening that you're not aware of, or what's going on. Do we have a new vision for what we're doing, kind of
Right.
thing. And then also prepping for questions when you return, because a lot of people were like, oh, why were you gone? Why were you
Yeah.
off? And with our executive
You
producer.
think they'd know, but I guess in a big company, not everyone would know.
Right, and maybe they don't share it. She
Right.
had a hip replacement.
Yeah.
I'm not.
She's got 2 bionic hips now.
She now has 2 hips. But they also said don't feel pressure to over-explain, especially if you've left the workforce to raise kids or something. It's perfectly legit to say, I was gone for this number of years to do this.
Years. Okay,
Or
yeah.
months to raise kids. During that time, I prepared myself to return, and I'm super excited. Make it brief, but explain.
It's like that's a long hold on your job if you've been gone for a couple of years.
Yeah, but a lot of people take years off to raise kids.
That's true.
That's
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might just not come back to the exact same job. Hopefully you can.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, or better.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of a cute thing about dads, but 75%, I thought this was worth sharing because it's such a high percentage. 75% of dads say that this makes them feel like a kid again.
Oh, interesting.
I think this is going to be really hard to guess, so I'm not going to make you guess more than one thing.
Like eating cereal
That's
or
a great
something
guess.
from being a kid, or some kind of I don't know, like game.
Watching cartoons.
Oh, that's
Watching
perfect.
cartoons.
Yes.
And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, that's kind of obvious. I wonder if that works for Emma. Was like, I feel that way too. But that's our sound off today. There's other things that I think make you feel like a kid, and we want to know what it is. So fill in the blank. Doing this makes me feel like a kid again. Go to Facebook, sound off. We'll have a chance to read those a little bit later on in the show today.